Hello everyone, this is Charlotte and this is Chatting in Cars, a very boring podcast about random shit. And the topic today is health food. Because I had some weird shit yesterday that my brother gave me. That was really, really weird. So, I'm not talking about drugs or anything like that, it's just some really weird shit. Right. What's my experience with health food? I think you have to understand, first of all, my experience was food. Random. So growing up I was a fairly decent sized kid. I got to about 12 about 12, and I started having to steal food essentially to make sure I was getting fed. I mean, it's a horrible story, I know, and there's a whole backstory there as well about living in poverty and all that crap. But my relationship with food started with my need to find it, essentially, and I would steal it wherever I could get it. I wouldn't steal it from people at school, because obviously these were my people, and I didn't want to be ostracized for that. But, of course, this fed into my eating disorder later. But it started basically at about 10, when I first started, stealing food just to eat. Nutrition was completely out the wall. My parents didn't raise us with any real kind of nutrition. It was whatever we could get, so we ate it. Which meant a lot of things that I just didn't want to eat, mixed with constantly being hungry, which led to inevitably me stealing food enough to get quite fat at 12. My mum then forced me onto a diet, which was, I don't know if anyone's ever had it, the grapefruit diet. That is traumatic in itself. I do not recommend. It is painful. And as a 12-year-old, you already got your low self-esteem because you're fat. But the same, or you have fat, I should say. And so you're being tortured through this process of eating crap you didn't want to eat in the first place. I suppose it might have been a penance for nicking the food, I don't know. I got quite good at it, hence the reason I got quite fat. But that's when a really bad relationship with food started with me, is because I saw it as in association with being punished. So that led on to an eating disorder, anorexia, later on in life, where at one point I was just eating, like a packet of noodles a day. And I got to a skeletal situation and my pancreas shut down, and my mum was threatening to force feed me and become this big berserker aggressive thing. And she was not a gentle parent. She was like, if you don't eat now, you will be force fed. And she didn't hold back. So of course now food became the enemy to a great degree. So that sent me off spiraling again. I overcame that somewhat when I met my now ex-husband at about 17, 18. 17 I met him. He sort of helped me with the anorexia inadvertently because he used to eat a lot of crap and he encouraged eating. But then, that spiraled into just eating crap, and then of course you go through the spiral of I want to be healthy, so I'm going to eat all this health food. And that's when we really kick off. So that's when the story kicks off. Being a personal trainer himself, even though he had a load of crap, he was also into the healthy side of things, so-called healthy side of things, I think. Whether it was actually reputable health food, I don't know. There's a lot of trends and gimmicks he went through. And of course, being his, partner in crime, I ended up getting the same kind of treatment and had to, go through the same foods and things. I was essentially the guinea pig as well, so that was a fun little dynamic. So we've had, I've had some weird foods in my life. Like there was one point where he wanted to go all vegan juicing. That was crazy. I felt sick after that. I did not feel like I was doing anything well. Not that there's anything wrong with being a vegan juicer or something like that. I know there's a lot of people that swear by it because they feel healthier and cleaner and all that stuff. But at the same time, I don't know if we were doing it wrong. And I can tell you, eating raw garlic is not nice. It burns. It ruins any kind of green shape you've got. So I don't suggest doing that. That's probably maybe where we went wrong. But it was also like, he wanted to make his own hummus. He wanted to do, what was it? It was chia seeds and kale and He wanted to make his own kale smoothies and things like that. And he used to make protein balls. And they were like bricks. And I'm sitting there going, this probably isn't what we're supposed to be eating. Or maybe they just didn't turn out the way we should have. But at the moment, the current situation I've got now is I drink protein whey. I drink whey protein supplements. I also have green powder, which is the spirulina, grass, green stuff. And I find that does help my immune system. I haven't got sick nearly as much as I normally do. Being a teacher, you're around these kids and the parents dump them and they just bring the kids in and coughing all in your face. The amount of times I've had kids just cough in my fucking mouth, crazy. And they don't hold back. You're like, catch the cough. And it's like, yeah. You got a face full of disease. Great, yeah, send that one home. But I do find that with the green powders, I am getting less sick. But I'm also upping my vitamin C tablets and things like that. So on top of that, I've got my other supplements are like pre-workout before I do my weights, which has got a whole bunch of weird chemicals in there. I probably shouldn't be taking that from an organic sense, but it does help me do the weights. I've got ginkgo, or I think it's ginkgo as well, for memory function. I don't know if that's more of a placebo effect. I'm hesitant. I don't know about that one. I'm going to have to look into that one a bit more. But I found as I was getting older, my memory wasn't as great, so I thought I'd give it a go, and it gives you sort of a supposedly clarity of, thinking. I'm also taking a prebiotic. I mix in with the protein shake as well, just because I'm starting to think more, if you treat your body like shit and you eat crap, it's just creating a problem because it clogs up the whole system for your immune system, I think. I could be wrong. I'm not a nutritionist. But I know the prebiotic, I'm pretty mixed with the green powder, is helping me not get sicker. Because imagine if your body's like a factory and it's fatigued and overrun, and then you throw something else in, a high order with a lot of demand, or in the human body's case, a disease or a virus. It's just going to overwork it and clutter up the whole system. So that's my theory on the green powder. I don't want to, it stops my stuff from getting decluttered. Besides that, I eat pretty clean. I mean, most of it is protein based. I'm vegetarian, so I eat a lot of eggs. And what else? At the moment, I'm going crazy over these Linda McCartney meat-free patties. They come in like a box of 2, and they're quite cheap as well. So I've been having one of those between meals. And just, oops, sorry, I'm trying to pass a car. Between meals, and I'll have like eggs and veg after that. I'm trying to lean out for summer coming. We're in the middle of winter. I know it's going to take a bit longer because I'm a bit older. And I am doing the cardio and I am doing the weights and everything like that, but at the same time I don't want to push myself too hard in case it, messes up my body, which I've done before. My sciatic nerve is crap at this point. And that's from me doing squats and deadlifts badly, I think, honestly. My back is not that great. But yeah, so I don't want to press myself too hard. I'm 37 now, so I'm not in my 20s. Even when I was in my 20s, I did not treat my body well. And I didn't start going to the gym doing weights until I was 33, so I started late. Like my ex-husband was doing gym at 16. Actually, having said that, I don't know what that's done to his body. He was quite big when I left him. He looked like Captain America, Winter Soldier guy, That kind of bulk. He looked like that. I don't know if I'm flattering him because he was a complete dick and a narc, but but to his credit, he did all right physically. He was all right with the gym stuff. He understood that. Nutrition-wise, I don't know. He ate a lot of crap for someone who would, claim to be clean eating and what they call a natty. So he's like natural and all that shit. I mean, natty does refer to not taking steroids, but at the same time, it does hold a certain level of clean eating and all that shit too. But yeah, no, he ate crap. So I've got, I have the inside information. So no, what I do is I tend to eat 6 days straight because I know that I can gain fat crazy at this age for some reason. And then Saturdays I generally have fairly controlled snack foods. I don't go all out, I don't eat everything I can find. In my 20s I used to eat a lot of stuff. I would sit down and have, what did we used to do? We used to get a pizza. This is in one sitting. We used to get a pizza, a block of chocolate, a crunch, which was usually like a share pack size of crisps or Cheetos or something like that. And we used to get a pack of gummy sweets as well. That would be one sitting. You'd also get your bottle of Diet Coke because it's hilarious. After all that shit, you're trying to still watch your weight. But we'd also have like a tub of ice cream as well, a liter ice cream each. And I wasn't fat, but I wasn't great. I didn't have any muscle. I didn't look good. I didn't feel good. I remember on my honeymoon, I tanked up to something like 75 kilos or something like that, and I'm only 5'4". I went up. That was just non-stop eating donut Krispy Kremes and chicken wings and things like that, because I wasn't a vegetarian then. I was just eating whatever I could get my hands on. And it was great. I think we went for like a month and we were just eating non-stop, just crap. So I went up, and that took a while to come down. It got to the point where I came back from the trip and it was painful to wear my clothes. Like, it was cutting into me. It was so painful. So that was incentive to get off doing that kind of thing. Although I do recommend at least once going on a complete binge for a month. I mean, it's insane. It's great because it's like a kid running through a candy store. You're like, yes, I can eat whatever I want. And after coming through anorexia, you're like, I kick anorexia in the ass. It's like, that shit's not coming back. Which is a complete lie because it does come back. But yeah, no, it's been up and down and up and down. My relationship with health food has been ridiculous. And there's always some arsehole turning around saying, oh, we all have turmeric now and that fixes our, I don't know, bowel cancer or some shit like that. It's like, no, I would rather actually go and have a look at the studies they've been doing, look at the data sets, and then make your own decision. Oh, you can't all analyze data, but at the same time, go and look at a few studies. Don't just take mass media at its word and say, oh, okay, so now we all have to eat turmeric. That was a bit crazy. It's like, I mean, if there is a correlation between turmeric and saving people from bowel cancer, for example, then wouldn't there be a lot of people in India that are just safe from bowel cancer and stuff like that? Wouldn't there be less numbers compared to the westernized countries? I mean, am I just generalizing it too much? I don't know. So you need to look at the bigger picture. and actually go and look for the studies. Don't just take it for their word for it, what else is there? Blah, blah, blah. Protein, Atkins. Oh my God. You will never poop again. If you go on Atkins, I probably did it wrong. I've been through a buttload of diets, dude. Atkins. This was before I went vegetarian. This was me eating, I used to get like a kilo of chicken nibbles, it's wings and thighs. And I'd cook them and I'd just eat that. And that would be one sitting. I don't think I ever lost weight on it, but you know how much fat and shits and chicken wings and legs is like the worst meat for that. But then again, they argue that the fat isn't the bad part. It's like they argue that sugar and carbohydrates is the bad part. So it's like, okay, so. And then I went vegan for a bit, and that was all carbohydrates, and and I still didn't feel good about that either. I didn't get the shape I wanted. It was nice that it was less harm to animals, which is, the ideal. This is the end goal, I should think. And everyone says, oh, I lived on bananas all day and I feel fantastic. I'm going, you probably have kidney failure or something like that right now. The malaise that comes with malnutrition, and I should know because I was anorexic, you do go through a brain fog constantly. You're just unaware of what you're doing and who you're with and what you're saying and who you're talking to. It's just, you go into another world. When you're that low on calories, you're willing to go anywhere, do anything. You just don't care. I mean, there was a lot of crying involved as well, because you're like, I just want to eat something, but I know if I eat something, I'll get fat, and if I get fat, I'll die, and no one will like me. And the thoughts that go through your head with an eating disorder is mental, literally. So you're fighting yourself. God, I can't believe I managed to live on a packet of noodles a day. That was insane. It was like the Imagine noodles. I don't know if you got them where you guys. What do you call them? The Americans call them something else. Or English just call them noodles. Just like, noodles. But, what are they called? In Indonesia, because we're in Australia, well, I'm in Australia, we call them mee gorengs. But without all the sauce and the spices and stuff. I just ate like boiled noodles. Ramen, top ramen, that's what they call it. 8 packet of that a day. I do not recommend. I went skeletal and it was not pretty. Like my brother, who's my only really close person in my family, got worried and he had to, my mum tried to get him to intervene. And he came up to me and he said, oh, there's some shit going down. I can see your ribs through your back. Like through, because I used to wear singlets and stuff, and you could see along my spine, you could see my spine, that my ribs were poking out on my back and my collarbones, and I could suck my stomach in and my ribs would stick out and stuff. Like, I looked like I crawled out of Auschwitz. It was horrible. And it was self-inflicted as well. And I'm not sure if it was a case of pressure to be thin in high school, but I did notice, like, when you lose weight, you do get attention. But I don't know if it's the right kind of attention, because my friends were shocked. They were like, this isn't right. My best friend I'd known since I was in year 2. So when I was 7, he was like mortified. He's going, you don't look right. I'm like, yeah, it's cool, it's all right, I'm all right. It was weird. I was not used to getting that much attention. So I didn't react very well in any case, which was not the best thing. So it set off more problems with my parents. And my parents were already berserk at controlling buggers at the time. It was, a lot of pressure. So, So after that, my relationship with food went a bit topsy-turvy. Actually, it's always been a bit weird. My parents had the parenting style where you eat everything on your plate. And it's like, at the time, I was fucking hungry, so I'm gonna eat everything on the plate. I'm stealing food at the time. But it's just like, you will be forced to eat everything on your plate, whether you want to eat or not, whether you like it or not, whether it's good or not, whether it's good for you or not. It's like, I didn't realize until later that things like pasta and white sauce used to make me incredibly sick. Even eating Wheat Bix, I get the mini sick up, throw up stuff now. And some breads I can't eat because I get the burning in your throat. And it feels like you're going to throw up. I don't even know what that is, if it's heartburn or if it's some kind of intolerance, I don't know. But I knew at the time that I felt sick and I didn't want to eat these things, and that was the only thing that was available. And you ate it or you went without. And most of the time I'm sitting there going, fuck it, I'll go without, I don't care. I'm not going to eat something that hurts me. And they didn't understand that. To them, it was you're being defiant, and so you'll be punished. And then that fed into an eating disorder where it's like, it's a control dynamic as well. It's like, I'm not going to let someone hurt me with their controlling intentions, you know? So I used to that was my rebellion. That was my one rebellion, really. I wasn't exactly the type of kid that would, kick up a stink. That was my brother. He had ADHD, and he was a little bit oppositional defiant. But the rest of us girls, there were 3 girls and 1 boy, and the girls were compliant. We just wanted it to be quiet. With my dad kicking off, my mom kicking off, it was like most of the time we were just either hiding from them or just wanting it to be quiet. And so we did whatever they wanted us to do because we just keep the peace, just stop. But my brother, he was a fucking fire starter, that one. He did not want to be told what to do. And he was the eldest, so of course he paved the way. So if he was an asshole, we all got treated like we were going to act that way as well. So there was a lot of control, punishment dynamic there, where any sign of defiance in children, around my mum particularly, like my dad would kick off and go berserker, he'd just scream and throw it. Oh God, he was a nightmare. But my mum would physically hit you, and if she wasn't just hitting you, she would smack the fuck out of you. She did not hold back. I think honestly it was a case of a lot of pent-up rage at her own situation. She was like, you fuckers are not doing what I want you to do. I will now demonstrate how I feel, not through hugs or cuddles, but through smacking the fuck out of you. And so that fed into like the controlling the food situations. Like if you did not want to eat what she put out, you will eat it, or you will starve, or you will be physically punished. And God help you if you made direct eye contact. You were screwed. So food had a weird relationship with me, or I had a weird relationship with food. So when I got out at 19 and I had my freedom to choose what I wanted to eat, when I wanted to eat it, and I had some money, I would go all out. I mean, there was a whole other backstory at 17 where I was, you know, it's not exactly legal, but at 17, can you get caught for it? I was nicking my dad's cigarettes, which is bad. Don't do that, children. And I was selling it to the kids at school. Again, don't do that, kids. So that I could take that money that I made, and I was only making, what, like 50 cents to $1 per cigarette, which is all right. It was intense, because he used to get like a 40 pack or something like that. I made him a mint. And he used to leave them around the house, which is fucking stupid. But instead of stealing the food at that period, I was making the money, and I was going over to like McDonald's and buying a thick shake just because I wanted something that the other kids had that was deemed normal. It's like, we lived in poverty. We didn't have what they had. So when they came to school with like their fucking Nutella sandwiches and their snack packs and their, you know, boxes of drinks and yogurt and stuff like that, and I'm sitting there sometimes just not having food, particularly in high school, I just didn't eat. But in primary school, if I had lunch, it was like an apple and a sandwich. I think I had a lunch order maybe like twice in its entirety in primary school. Twice. And I was there, what, 7 years? 8 years, including pre-primary? And I look at the kids' lunches these days where I'm teaching, I'm going, you little fuckers, you got everything. Cute. What annoys me is when they leave it around and they're like, oh, I just don't want to eat it. It's like, you're sitting there going, it was like a snack pack or something, like, you little bastard, eat this. It's a snack pack, dude, come on. Eat a snack pack. You can't just waste that. It's like gold. I just don't want to eat it. It's like, oh my God. And their lunch boxes are always loaded. And me as an adult, I'm sitting there going, you son of a bitch. You're so ungrateful. But then again, these are the same kids that were like, their parents might have been facing the same situation as me. So the one thing I have about my house is like, there will always be food in my house. I made that adamant and clear. There will always be food in my house. I never want to have to go back to feeling like I have to steal food to survive. I hated that. It was so embarrassing. Like, I would sit with my friends in primary school. One of my friends was called Laura. She was all right. She was a nice kid. But her family had not a lot of money, but they had more money than our family. And so she would rock up with these Nutella sandwiches. And me being, at the time, quite a chubby kid, and I had a sugar addiction even young, I wish. We didn't have the money for sugar, come on. She would eat the main part of the sandwich, and she didn't like the crust, so I'd eat the crusts. And I would be in heaven, because it would have bits of Nutella on it. And I'm like, yes! Finally, normal food! It's like all these other kids got this shit, and I'm like, I don't want my shitty... Actually, at the time, I still love it now, but it was honey sandwiches. And they'd be sitting in your lunchbox all day, and it would be like crystalline and running. Bread's gone messed up. You're like, all right. It was honey if we were lucky. Sometimes it was like Vegemite, which is, to a child, eating Vegemite feels like eating lava. So I don't know why I kept getting that shit. Sometimes it was jam. Yeah, jam was all right. I never really developed a fetish for jam. Should you have a fetish for jam? Some people do. But it was always like, you always got like enough to keep you going. It's like some kids didn't turn up with anything because it was that kind of an area, and the school had to provide for them. But you had to be like pretty much on their radar for like DCP shit. It's like if they knew your parents were a crackhead, they were on it. They're like, all right, so this one needs a lunch. Whereas my parents weren't crackheads. They were abusive and they were violent, but they weren't, you know, there was no drug abuse in my family. My parents didn't even drink, strangely enough. My dad smoked, but my mum never picked up anything. She used to smoke before we were born, but I think when she, strangely enough, when she had kids, she's like, I'm not gonna smoke anymore. But I will smack the fuck out of them. Weird parenting styles. So yeah, there was, at school, I wasn't on the radar. I mean, they knew by the way I appeared, like my clothes were hand-me-downs, they had holes in them, obviously. I smelled of piss. I know I smelled of piss because I used to wet the bed because I had trauma. And I know I would, because I would, like, the kids are not gentle when they're observing things. Like, I remember at one point we were at the getting our photos done, and I went, ooh, free combs. Because they handed out combs for the kids to brush their hair. And I assumed, ooh, free combs. So what do? You nick them. Don't nick combs. But you nick things. You're like, oh, it's a kid. It's like, and you're not programmed at that age to understand, don't nick things just because they're free. People look at you like a freak. I mean, it's combs. It's not even worth anything. It's like hair combs. But as soon as I nicked them, they knew I nicked them because they turned around and started giving me, mouthfuls. And I'm sitting there going, but it was free. Why can't we just take it? And I didn't really understand that because, my parents weren't great parents. They didn't really teach us that kind of morality. I knew that if I pissed off them, I'd get my ass kicked. But if it was free, that's cool, right? We can just take that, right? It's like, you got to double check with your friends. Like, you guys are going to take this, right? Oh my God, morality. Back to the food. But I know I used to eat my friends like bread crusts. And at the time you didn't register. It's like, this was a bit weird. But you're like, score, free bread crusts with Nutella on them. Awesome. Getting some free shit. So my relationship with food's been a bit odd. Now as an adult, I have more responsibility in that I'm feeling my age. So I will be less inclined to eat shit. I know I gain fat like a mofo. So I don't bother hoeing into a whole pizza. Well, I do eat a whole pizza when I do go, but no, not like the setting I had before where it was a whole pizza or a litre of ice cream, a block of chocolate, a bag of crisps, and a pack of jelly sweets and a Diet Coke, 2 litres or some shit like that. I don't do that anymore because I know I'm not going to be able to move the next day because I will be, first of all, incredibly dehydrated. I will just feel sluggish. I get a hangover now from sugar. Does anyone else get that? It's like, in my 20s, I'd drink and I'd get a hangover. It's like, now I eat sugar and I get a hangover. I swear I got diabetes on the way or something. It's like, surprise, you're now 40, diabetes. Yes, all that white bread and stuff that you love so much. And I do still love it. I love white bread with butter, oh my God. And plastic cheese. Oh my God, plastic cheese. 0 nutrients, but it's the fanciness of having it wrapped in plastic individually, Is that weird? I don't know. It's like, but it's individual. It must be important. They secured the payload so well with this plastic individual slices. Of course it's important, and therefore I must acquire it and put it in my shitty ass plastic bread that costs next to nothing and there's 0 nutrients in it. People pay out so much money for like the expensive bread with the seeds and stuff, and I find all that does is make me feel sick. It's like, I got people over here paying like $5 for a loaf of bread. I don't know what the equivalent is. What's that? Like, if you're in England, that's a £2.50. A loaf of bread. I blew my mind, man. I went over there and I went to a Tesco's. You can get shit for 50p. That's $1. I'm like, oh my God. It was crazy. I loved it. Tesco's, one of the best bloody shops. I'm not, promoting that because they do sell a lot of shit. Yeah, but it was a lifesaver. That's a whole different story. I'm going to come back to that when I go onto my touring spiel. But as regards to food, I do tend to lean towards trying to get it right. I don't go all out like I did with my ex-husband where he was having kale smoothies and shit, because you will hate yourself and want to throw up. But I do eat okay. At this time, it's more like eat fairly well during the week, maybe spread it over to Sunday, and then Saturday I just have very controlled quantities. In fact, I call them ration packs, because I know if I don't portion it out, like pre-prep it, I will go through a whole bag of just eating crap. It's essentially just sitting there with a bag of sugar, and I do have a sugar addiction, I know that much. And you scoff and you go, it's not crack or something, but it does feel like an addiction. It's like you start with a couple of biscuits and then it snowballs. You're like, I did that the other day actually. I was just having a really down day. I was depressed and shit. And as soon as I got home, I'm like, right, I'm gonna eat some chocolate. Right. It could have been hormones, I don't know. Or depression, or the fact that we're in the middle of winter and that's seasonal depression, all that shit. But I'm like, okay, fuck protein right now. I'm gonna eat a block of chocolate. And then it snowballed into, okay, I'm going to have one of our ration packs. Oh, I'm going to eat half a litre of ice cream. Okay, so we're going to go get a packet of crisps and what else did I have? A box of cookies. I didn't just have one or two, I had a box. Afterwards you're going, well, it hit the spot, but at the same time, not the most responsible thing to do. So it's weird. When I get upset, I do tend to turn to food, which is weird considering I was anorexic. Because when I was anorexic, like full-blown anorexic, I used to starve when I was upset. I don't know why. I don't know why it's flicked between the two over the years. I couldn't explain it. I've got a psych degree, but it's not that great a psych degree that I understand that shit in depth. It's only a bachelor's, so it's more like, has a general idea of what the fuck's going on. It's like, okay. It's like, I should have gone into it further, but it would have been more interesting. But, yeah, it's weird how, and your behaviors change as well. I don't think there is any kind of real approach. Food these days, health food in particular, tends to be like mass media trends. It's like if one retarded celebrity says, sorry, I shouldn't have said retarded there, that's not bad, that's not good. If one, mainly because I like disabled people, but I don't give a shit about celebrities. If one celebrity says, oh, this is how I did this, this is how I lost weight, this is how I look like this. I mean, sans the fact that they have personal trainers and nutritionists and all this kind of crap. It's like, you have nothing better to do than be at the gym looking like this, and plastic surgery and all this crap. It tends to be people who aren't famous that turn around and say, wow, turmeric fixes everything. So I'm gonna eat nothing but turmeric and it will fix all of my problems. It's a really weird take on it. It's like, I mean, bearing in mind these celebrities got their advice from some personal trainer or some nutritionist. It's like, that's just one food that they've decided to give to the celebrity. And yet everybody goes, oh, this fixes everything. It's like, we want the quick fix. We're busy, tired, mainly tired people. Past 25, you are just tired. I'm 37. I'm dreading my 50s. Going, if I'm this tired now, oh my God, what am I gonna be like? So we want it done now. We got nothing better to do, apparently, than live vicariously through celebrities who essentially cheat. I think they cheat. Because they tout that this one product will fix everything, but they've got all the other things, and they've got like the cheat sheet, they've got a person telling them what to do, what to eat. It's like they've got all the cheat codes, and they're offering us advice. No. It's like, oh, we should be so grateful. Isn't this good PR for you? It drives you nuts. So if a celebrity turns around and says, this is what I do, don't. Go and look for yourself. Go find a nutritionist if you can. I'm sure there's plenty of forums online with qualified nutritionists who will offer advice. Go and actually look for yourself. Don't look in bloody Women's Day and say, this is how so-and-so got this thin. Oh, and only a week after having a kid. It's bullshit. Don't. She only ate carrots for a day, and now she's incredibly thin. It's like, yeah, there was probably some kind of drug-related eating disorder, so no, I'd go and look for it properly, because even just living on carrots, that's not good. That's not good for you. That's not any way a varied diet. Having said that, of course, I'm not a nutritionist. All I've got basically is experience in eating disorders. I've got I've got a bachelor's in psych. I don't have the, what do they call it? Like the specified input, you know? I don't have the words from like a doctorate in psych to understand what's going on in the processes. I have a very generalized view of what it is by living it and touching on it academically. But I'm just saying, it seems a bit bullshit believing these celebrities to be right because the nutritionist offered them one type of food to fix everything. It doesn't seem reasonable. Health foods, on the other hand, oh my God, can we please stop going through these gimmicks? It's driving me nuts. There's always even at work, the girls are like, oh, I just do this now, and I just eat this now, and oh, I tried doing this, and now I feel better. My mum put me through, as now, she's toned down a lot. She's still a narc, but she doesn't hit me. But she's, yay, parenting. She's in her 60s now, and she turned me on to... She comes up to me and she's like, you got a personal trainer ex-husband? It's like, you know all this stuff. It's like, I've been through all this stuff. Doesn't mean I like it or I understand it or I agree with it. But she's going, you know, what about apple cider vinegar? It's like, it's like drinking vomit. Great, yeah. No, it should be good for you. Go ahead. She's like, I'm going to try this because I got diabetes and I think it's going to fix my diabetes and my liver. And I'm going, you are drinking vinegar. You're going to dissolve your teeth, if anything. Oh my God. I mean, they used to tout that as one of the foods which would burn fat. And I'm going, how? Is the fat contained only in your stomach? Is it, you know, what the fuck? Because that's the tract it's going through. I mean, unless it turns like your sweat slightly acidic, I don't know, so it liquefies the fat. I don't know. It doesn't seem right. I mean, trying to look at these things logically. I mean, if it turns your sweat slightly acidic, maybe it would... Actually, it doesn't even make sense that way. It doesn't... I'm trying to think, maybe it loosens up the fat cells or something. I don't know. It's stupid. You see these gimmicks and you look at it going, well, that's bullshit. I want to actually find now a nutritionist that explains apple cider vinegar to me. And I'm not going for one of these TikTokers or the Insta models that swear by it. I want an actual nutritionist. I'll just pull them aside like, hey, what the fuck? Apple cider vinegar. Why are we drinking vomit? What is this for? And are we just torturing ourselves because we want to, you know, have a magic bullet that fixes everything? Or are we just inevitably running away from the fact that we're dying? I don't know. I would love to understand that. I have no problem. Oh, I do. I was scared to shit as a kid of dying. I was scared to shit. I was like, it was a real fear for me of dying. Now as I'm getting older, I'm like, you know, I would get these really dark, morbid feelings about dying as a kid. It's like, as a kid, you're just oblivious to everything. I was face down in a sandpit till I was 12. But at the same time, I had these really dark feelings like, oh my God, it's inevitable. We're going to die. And I don't know where that stems from. Is probably living in a traumatic environment for God knows how long. So everything becomes very real. But I mean, that's miles away. That's not even... I mean, at the time, I'm talking like I was 10 years old. It's like, if the average person dies at about 80, if we're lucky, 70 years into the future, what the fuck am I worrying about that shit now? It's like, I don't know, but it was so real. I'm going, what the fuck? Probably got some weird mental shit there that I just haven't addressed yet. But again, it's like, same with the anorexia. My reaction was it was a live or die situation. It's like, if I ate, I would hate myself enough to die. Or if I didn't eat. And that became a real morbid thing as well, because I knew inevitably if I didn't eat, I would die. So it was flicking between two sides of it with food. If I ate the food, I would survive. If I didn't eat the food, and I could see at the end of the tunnel the result, I would die. I would wither away and die. And it's like, so you're fighting yourself there. It's like, do I die or not die? I don't want to die. I'm fucked if I do it, fucked if I don't. That was fun. I mean that sarcastically, of course. Anorexia is not fun at all. I can't imagine what bulimia is like. I feel it's like a different kettle of fish. It's similar, but it's a different kettle of fish. Because you're eating the food, but you're throwing it up. Whereas I just refuse to eat. It's like, I'm not even trying to survive at this point. I don't want to. It's weird. It's very morbid. How's that for a Thursday discussion? Fourth day, and let's talk about death and dying. Health foods, though, I generally think you should just try and keep look at what you're feeling. Are you feeling better? And you can tell when, especially in your late 30s, whether you're feeling clogged up and sluggish. I mean, sometimes it's hormones, sometimes it's the fact that you're overdoing it. I know I'm burning the candle at all ends at this point because I'm working on side projects before work. I'm going to work as a teacher, and then after work I'm going onto my projects again, and then going to the gym and doing weights and shit. I know I'm burning the candle at both ends. I go to bed at like 10 o'clock and wake up at 5. I'm going, this seems like a bad idea. And I go, that's got nothing to do with my food, but I tell you what, it feels productive as fuck, even though I'm wrecking myself. I don't know if it's a mental health thing or, I don't know. I feel like I'm making up for lost time. But yeah, food does create an effect on that, because I know if I eat shit, I won't want to go to the gym, and I will just feel like ass. Whereas if I eat good food, or seemingly good food. And I still eat rations during the week because everything's controlled, and I feel like I could easily just hold into food at this point. There is a I don't give a fuck days, and I just eat everything. I try and keep it sugar-free because I know if I do eat the sugar, I'm going to feel like shit. But yeah, if you keep it clean-ish and maybe have like one day. Some people have a weekend. I used to have a weekend. I found that if I eat crap for 2 days, I'm going to spill into the week. But generally, I'm getting older. My priorities are changing. At this point, I just want, hip mobility and not feeling like I'm dying. And the hip mobility comes from the deadlifts and squats. Praying for it. Just please stop the pain. It's bones. I can't imagine people that have done this since they were 16 and how they feel now at this age. I've been doing it. I have no hips left. I have just crumble. I have apple crumble for hips. It's crazy. How do you do your squats? I don't know. Magic. Magic. I rub some magic ointment on my hips and I cry while I do it. It's crazy. But yeah, good nutrition. Some people still going all out. There is a disorder where, women particularly get to a certain age and they only eat clean foods. And they think they're doing the best thing for them. I'm like, you're just giving yourself a complex at that point because you're not breaking and relaxing at any point. You're so caught up in trying to perfect everything. And by this age, there is no perfection. In your 20s, there was no perfection. Because we're all sitting there drinking and eating shit and just trying to get our freedoms. For my sake, it's like, I want the freedom of being able to eat food that wasn't forced on me. And I can buy with my own money and stuff like that. And you get to 30, and you're like, okay, things are starting to slow down. Maybe I should start eating something that's green. I think. Although I want to choose it. Because if I have to eat kale again, I will kill someone. That stuff's disgusting. Oh, part of the grapefruit diet was boiled silver beet with salt, slight salt. Oh my God, that was foul. Don't ever do that diet. And it is a diet because I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think anyone could live on that. Anyone who does has probably got some kind of psychotic streak. Like a real psychopath doing that. But yeah, just keep it clean. Treat yourself with respect. You know how you're going to feel afterwards. You're this old. I know I'm going to feel like shit if I eat crap for 2 days straight. Which is why I have trouble staying home because I get bored and so I eat because I'm bored. But yeah, self-respect. Ultimately, it comes down to health foods are a gimmick. It's like unless you go and do the research and you find studies that actually support the evidence or the claims that they're making, don't just buy into it. Question everything. I mean, honestly, if you're critically thinking, you should look at some stuff and go, well, that's just bullshit. And who's making money off this? It's like, unless you're in the team making money, don't do it. It seems like a crapshoot. Look after yourself. So I suppose the thing to take away from this is critical thinking when you're approaching anything. Don't just accept what some celebrity has told you. If it makes you feel better, then do it. If it makes you feel shit, then moderate it or don't do it at all. But that's with everything in life. I'm going to have to leave it there, I think, because I've just turned up to work. Unfortunately, now I have to go and actually raise someone else's kids. Ugh. Take it easy today. It's Thursday. We've got one more work day, so just chill, bang through it. Try not to hurt anyone. Try not to hurt yourself. There's a whole discussion in yourself. All right. Have a good one, okay? I'll see you tomorrow.